T-minus 1 minute. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Hey, 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 y'all. Happy Monday and welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. And welcome to our Wow Superheroes after show taking place every Monday night on all of our live platforms. Thank you guys for joining us on tonight. You could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us. So thank you for being here with us. Of course, I'm your girl, Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, color commentator for the Belladonna Division Battle 2 2022, and host and writer for Women's Wrestling Talk. But of course, I'm not by myself. I am with the awesome team that I'm glad to go live with every Monday. Of course, we're going to start with my sister, my woman, and the one who helped me this weekend at Battle Club Pros. Welcome to New York. She is the host and creator of In Cat We Trust, and just an all-around amazing person. Her name is Katrina Blake. How are you?
Always such an amazing intro. I am well. How are you? I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to be here too. I'm a little tired, but we're going to push through and we're going to do it for our girls. And of course, last but certainly not least, we are here with host and backstage correspondent extraordinaire, Emily Mae Heller. How are you, Emily?
Hi, ladies. I'm good. We have an exciting episode to chat about. So I'm excited to be together again talking about WoW.
Yeah, we have lots of exciting stuff going on between the mystery of who attacked the beast and the mystery of what's going to happen with the WoW World title now that it's vacant and new faces that we're seeing. There's just so much, of course, that we have got to discuss. But of course, if you guys are watching on all of our live platforms, if you watch this episode of WoW or any episode of WoW, chat it up in the comments, and your comments might wind up on the screen with us as we talk about it. So, ladies, how are we feeling about this episode of WoW? Starting with Kat.
I thought it was a pretty solid episode. We got some debuts, which I thought was cool. And then we also got to see a little bit more of some people we saw previously in past weeks, where we got a little bit more background, and it's always nice. I do like that WoW has a habit of, like, we might see somebody one week, and then, like, in a following episode, we kind of get a little bit of insight to the character. And so I think they did that very well. And so it was a really solid episode, really good matches. And so I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I love this episode. I loved, like Kat said, I love the debuts. We're finally seeing some new faces, some new opponents, and I also enjoyed just there's a lot more story moments happening. There's some interesting developments, and it's kind of adding pressure, and the stakes I felt were a little bit higher in this episode. And I mean, we'll talk about it, but I felt like there were some interesting developments that is making things exciting.
Yes, definitely. I agree with you both. It's lots of crazy stuff happening. So we're going to get into it here because that's why we're here and that's why we are gathered to talk about it. Now, of course, I also want to say that today something special happened with Women's Wrestling Talk on YouTube, and I'm more than sure on our website as well. You can catch the interviews that me and Katrina did at Los Angeles Comic Con with some of the WoW superheroes. So if you haven't watched those already, please do. We got to talk to some of the superheroes in the WoW Hub at LA Comic Con last year and basically in December. So it doesn't feel like that was that long ago. But yeah, if you haven't watched those interviews, please do. We talked to Americana, we talked to Foxy Fierce, we talked to a number of ladies. So please check those out if you haven't already on our YouTube channel and our website. It was a really exciting time, so please check those out. But to get into the show proper, we started, of course, with with a tag team match between the Heavy Metal Sisters, Razor and Fury, versus Exile, with Genesis and Exodus. Of course, coming out there with their iconic team leader, Malia Hosaka. Now, this match was really good. I really enjoyed the tag team match here. It seemed that once the match got started, the Heavy Metal Sisters kind of like took advantage in the early going of the match. But then, of course, you have Exile in the form of both of these women, just with their hard hits and, of course, all of their kicking and stuff like that. They were doing it, but it seemed like the odds were even because, of course, usually when a team comes out with a manager, it's like that manager is always like the third member that gets involved. But the Heavy Metal Sisters had Mesmeriah on their side as well, and they were both getting involved with the match in various ways. But in the end, Exile wound up coming out with the win due to some miscommunication from the Heavy Metal Sisters. And it made me kind of sad because I never want to see the Heavy Metal Sisters lose. And actually, so does AJ Mendez on commentary as well, because when David was asking her, if she wouldn't hang out with them, she was like, no, I'm going to still hang out with them. Even if, they're at a party and they're the only ones partying and I'm in a corner, we're going to still hang out and we're not putting any bad energy on them, because she was hopeful they would win too. But Exile has just been on a tear lately, so they wound up coming out with the win.
Yeah.
So how are we feeling about this matchup?
Yeah, Stephanie, I mean, I think that this was, we've seen the Heavy Metal Sisters go against various teams, various opponents, and I feel like they're slipping a little bit. They try to be fierce, they try to really kind of bring their opponents down, but I felt like in this match they definitely it was not their top moment. And AJ even mentioned it on commentary that they've kind of seen the last few weeks them kind of slipping up in areas that previously they didn't. So I'm finding it interesting that we're seeing some other tag teams and other groups kind of dominate the Heavy Metal Sisters when before they were the dominant team.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. How did you feel about the action, Katrina?
It was a good open. I was a little, I was surprised and I wasn't, because I feel like it's like I like the Heavy Metal Sisters and this little bit of a bias because of Razor, and it's always like oh, you want her to like win, you want her to thrive, and then it's like no, because she's one of ours. And so it's like you want her to do well and it doesn't happen, so you're kind of sad. And so I was sad about that, but I do think in regards to Exile, these women are like super badass, and so I feel like they were gone, they come back. The best way, even if it hurts us, is to have it where they kind of keep a memento of like, going forward as far as kind of being dominant, because they kind of came out a bit heelish. So if you want to have another faction, that's like, when you're now thinking about especially what's going on with like Lana and her group, you kind of need another faction who might give them a run for their money and might have to do tactics that they might do. And so I feel like Exile is probably like perfect for that. And so to me, it made sense, but it was also sad because against, race is one of ours. And so you're just like, no, oh my God, wait, but otherwise I thought it was a really, really good open. And I thought it was good action, even with the little bit of interferences. And it made, again, miscommunication always sucks with a team that you've been with for so long. And it's like, but stuff happens. So sometimes we have an off day. And so I took it as not necessarily something wrong with the group, more so just it was an off day, and it
Yeah, I
happened.
mean, was there another moment with the ref not paying attention and not, was it this match?
I believe it was this match.
Yeah.
In this match, I believe it was Razor who was trying to distract the other team, but then he was trying to like push her back to the corner, but then they were taking advantage of it and hitting them. So I believe that was that match. And here again, the referees were on the struggle bus.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it episode after episode. We've talked about it before. The referees are just not paying attention, or they don't see an interference. They don't see some strategy happening in the corner, and that can cost a match when the referee's not paying attention. And we saw that this affected the match as well. So I don't know if they and on commentary they were talking about the referee just not missing all these little moments. And so I think management has to look at some of the referees.
I will say that maybe the refs need to like reassess how they're doing matches, because like for a month or so I'm like, all right, like, so we're just gonna ignore everything. I don't know if you've seen that TikTok thing where it's like the song is like Blind. That's literally what's going on with the refs. They don't see nothing, and I'm like, how do you not see this? How how are we here? So I think somebody needs to go to like course or something and let's correct this. But yeah, I feel like it's like every week now. It's like, all right, so we just going to do this every week. Y'all missing things that's going on in matches. Get it together. But yeah.
Yeah, we need David to actually get on that and actually like have a talking to with the referees to make sure everything is like called down the middle, because with everybody out there, with factions out there, there's always bound to be some type of like shenanigans going on, as Katrina would say. And I feel like as a referee, you need to have your head on a swivel. I don't know if it's going to take them having two referees or just one that's just really good to really like keep their eyes on everything. But either way, the referees like just seem to be distracted a lot of the time, and that's just, but I guess it's really hard when you're having like to police 3 or like 6 people at a time. So maybe we should give them a little bit of grace, but at the same time they do need to be on it a little bit more. But what can I say? I've never refereed before, so I don't exactly know how that works, but at the same time, as viewers we do get kind of frustrated with that. But let's just give them a little bit of grace. But in the end, Exile wound up winning. And to Katrina's point, I would love if Exile did challenge the Fab Four. But the thing about them is it's 3 of them and like 4 and also Lana Star. So it's just kind of like, that's almost like they would almost have to get another person as well to help even that out. But that would be an interesting dynamic for a feud. I would like that very much. So moving forward with the rest of the show, before this match that we're about to talk about took place, we learned more about someone who is debuting in the form of Jennifer Flores, who I believe is from Texas by way of Mexico. And we learned a little bit more about her story. They showed her walking on a college campus a lot, and she was talking about how she loves going to school and how she's going to school for, I believe it was either for finance or for business, one of the two. But that's what she's doing while also pursuing her wrestling career. And she talked a little bit about her family dynamics as well, and what motivates her to keep going and what her wild dream is. And they really did push her more as basically their first generation Z wrestler, and how she's maybe the second youngest next to Steffi Slays. And I thought that was a nice little dynamic that they threw in there. And even on commentary they were talking about how she might have had better toys while AJ was champion herself, because she came through a more futuristic era with Generation Z. So I thought that was really cool. So we were introduced to Jennifer Flores leading up to the match that she had against Gigi Gianni. And I thought this was really interesting because, of course, Gigi Gianni was in a tag team with Adriana Gambino, but she's nowhere to be found, which I think is interesting. to say the least. We haven't seen her in a number of weeks. So now Gigi's been going it alone and trying to, get her solo career started. And she's been doing pretty well for the most part. But the thing about this match is the fact that even though Gigi is kind of rough and tumble, Jennifer Flores had a really great debut with showing a lot of her quickness and her technical ability as well. Because when Gigi was trying to knock her down, she actually, was she shook her up by turning around a whole lot on top of her and locking her into a submission, her arm and her leg. And there was another impressive spot where Jennifer Flores hit a DDT while she was spinning, and it was just really cool. And I'm just like, okay, Jennifer, I see you. I may not have ever seen you before, but I definitely see you now. And she did a phenomenal job in her debut. But sadly, Gigi Gianni wound up coming out with the win by hitting her Oklahoma Slam. So her solo career continues to flourish, but Jennifer Flores had nothing to be ashamed of. So starting with Katrina, how do we feel about this match and the debut of Jennifer Flores?
I thought it was a good intro to her. I did like, again, I think WoW does this very well when they give you little tidbits of somebody's like backstory, and so they did well. And I did like the play, even though it said Jen with a J and Z with reference to Gen Z. I thought that was a nice little play on the fact that she of her age. And so I thought, wow, it's nice to see Gigi kind of doing well on her own, because they never explained to us what happened. I don't know if we're gonna get that as far as what happened. As far as what happened that time she didn't show up, and we have not seen her since. We didn't even get like if it was an injury update. There's been nothing, so we don't know. But for what she was kind of given with like her partner kind of going MIA, she's doing well. But I do think Jen had a really good debut for somebody who's again very young. She had really good in ring work for somebody of her age. And so I as you said, I don't think she had anything to be. I mean, she didn't get the win, and sometimes you want people to kind of win in their debuts, but sometimes you don't even need that if you are able to show what you can do. And I think she did. So I'm looking forward to see what she does next. I did felt like she was a little bit even more aggressive, actually, to me at least, over Gigi. And so if she keeps that up, who knows what we can see in like a year from her. And so I think it was a really good debut, but it was nice to kind of see Gigi kind of having like footing on her own as well.
Definitely. What about you, Emily?
Yeah, so I was waiting for this debut. We all, I think all three of us have watched. She's also known as Jasmine Allure on the independent scene, so we are familiar with her, and so I've been waiting for this debut, and so I was so excited to see her. And what I loved about this WoW introduction is it was so her, because she is going to school. She she moved away from home, away from her family. Like, there's so much heart in what she does and what she wants to do at WoW that I loved that this encapsulated it. And what I really loved about this debut is that even though she did not win, she definitely showed WoW fans and the world what she can do. And mark my words, she's been all over the place, and this is just the beginning. And AJ totally pulled her out of the independent scene and picked her personally and said, hey, like, they're kind of twins, right? It's been said before, they're kind of twinsies, but picked her out and said, this is where you belong. And even though she did not win in this episode, it is just the beginning. You can see at such a young age how just fast and agile and just so wildly talented she is. So that's my spiel on the debut. But I also think that Gigi's also showing some dominance out in WoW now that she's a singles competitor. I think that's exciting. It's we've seen her in the last few episodes, kind of what she's been up to, and I think this was a really good matchup, and I think it was a tough competition for both of them.
Yes, definitely. And I'm glad you actually said that her name was Jasmine Allure, because because it's just like, I'm so happy you said that was her, because that is great that she was able to have that debut. Like, that is so amazing. I'm so happy for her. And let's just appreciate the fact that AJ Mendez picked her out. Do you know how gifted you have to be in wrestling for AJ Mendez to pick you out and say, "Oh, you belong here. Come with me. Let's go." Like, I would cry. Like, if I ever found out that AJ Mendez knew who I was and was like, "You belong here, let's go," I'd be like, "Girl, what? Let's go, let's pack, let's do it." But just the idea that she picked her out and said that she belonged here is just a really great story and is very inspirational. And I can only imagine how hard it is, to leave your family behind. It always is hard to leave your family behind, in order to follow your dreams and do and go on the path that was meant for you. So I'm really happy that she's having this moment and that she's, pursuing her dreams, whether it be scholarly or whether it be wrestling wise, that really is happening for her. And I'm really glad that that's good. But Gigi, Miss Ma'am, is on a mission. Okay. If she's trying to prove that she can stand on her own 2 feet and be fabulous while doing it. And she definitely is. And she is a tough cookie. So it's really cool to see her, blazing her own trail after being behind. But as far as Adriana Gambino goes, I have a theory that I feel like she's one of my prime suspects as to who attacked the beast. Like, I literally feel like she might be one of those people, along with another person that we're getting ready to talk about, who could have very well attacked her. So I don't feel like she just didn't disappear for like nothing. Or maybe I'm just being overly suspicious. I don't know. But we just have to wait and see. So, moving on with the rest of the show proper, we had another match involving Reina Del Rey, who also had a victory last week, going up against Commander Sahara Spars, who is now just going by Sahara Spars now because she was very heartbroken at being jumped on and turned on by G.I. Jane, who is someone she felt like she had a lot in common with, considering they both served in the military, just in different branches. She was very upset about that, so now she's just going as Sahara Spars. So she came in ready to fight Reina Del Rey, and she did do a pretty good job in this match. But Reina is just really powerful at this point. She really, and there was a lot of other points where she was being very vicious towards her. She even took her fingers and put them in Sahara's mouth and was reaching backwards with it and then slamming her in her chest. But I will say that Sahara was trying to technically, knock her down by working on her body parts, piece by piece. But it just wound up not working out for Sahara, and Reina Del Rey wound up coming out with the win. But hilariously enough, David McClain was saying during her entrance that he felt that she might be one of the people who could have attacked the beast. So, I mean, that would be, a really good guess, considering the last time she fought her for the title, she wound up defeating her in that triple threat. But here again, we still don't know. And they also still alluded to the idea of the beast being, encouraged by Jungle Girl last week. So, starting with Emily, how did you feel about this match and the trajectory of Reina Del Rey and Sahara Spars at this point?
Yeah, I mean, we've known that like the Reina Del Rey, every match she has dominated. She has taken her opponent, and she's said it multiple times that the WoW Championship is what she wants. And so I have not seen I've maybe once on one hand I can count a moment of weakness from her, and that's what you need as champion is like you can't be weak, you can't show any moment of vulnerability, and I felt like she's dominated every opponent. So this was a good matchup. I feel like we had some heat and some tension, and it was exciting to watch. But again, dominance is key here.
Definitely. And Katrina?
Yeah, as Emily said, I think that's what it was just we all love Sahara and what she does, but in this regard, you have somebody who's like number one contender, somebody who's gave the beast, like, while the beast was victorious, she kind of gave her a bit of a hard time, and even with Leia McCall, she kind of gave her a bit of a hard time, and so she's somebody who always kind of goes into her matches with the mentality of I'm gonna do whatever necessary, even if it's like overly aggressive, and and I think in that regards, it was on her side, the fact that she is being so aggressive and kind of making sure she get these wins. So I think if in this situation, while we can respect both of them as far as the in ring work, this was just a case of she kind of wanted to go a little further, and this is like that's what she kind of used to kind of propel her victory in this matchup.
Yeah, definitely. Like she is propelling herself forward in this matchup, and she's really just trying to prove that she should be, next in line to challenge for the vacant title. And that's something that I can respect about Reina Del Rey. And I just really hate to see Sahara Spars, be in such dire straits at this point because, you align yourself with Jesse Jones. It's like you defeat Team Cold Discipline, and then you have one of your sisters in arms, turn their back on you out of nowhere. And now you get your chest beaten by Reina Del Rey, who's just on a warpath. Like, I feel sad for her in this respect. And I hope that somehow or another she could just turn it around and just be able to use this to fuel her fire and just do better. Like, I just want more. I just want more for her.
And Stephanie, I think you said it, that because the title has been relinquished, the stakes are higher for everyone. So
Right.
it goes back to like there's no room to make a mistake. Like you have to be on your A game. And the stakes and the objective for everyone totally shifted in that moment. So I think that is what we're going to see moving forward, is like this is a bigger deal for everyone now.
Yeah, everyone's gonna definitely get fiercer and fiercer, the more we get into it. Like, I can't wait to see the level of competition, just go up and up. As we get our answers as to what's going to happen with the Wild World title. But Reina Del Rey is on the warpath and she's really gunning for it. So she did win this match, but hopefully Sahara Spars, can turn it around. And of course, since we all know that Sahara Spars is Amber Rodriguez, she is retired, but we consistently speak her name because the work she's done is amazing. So we love you, Amber. We love you on Women's Wrestling Talk. And we definitely just continue to support you in whatever it is that you choose to do with your career. Now, before we get to this match, there was a little bit more of a recap with them talking about the debuts of Holly Swag and Big Rig Betty. And I did appreciate that a little bit because we got to know a little bit more about them and how they're connected to Jesse Jones. And they seem to all be on the same page collectively from where they're from in terms of, their country strong roots. And that's something that I really do like and appreciate, from them. And we also got to see more of how they got into WoW with them being given tickets by the fabulous Lana Star for, of course, towing their trucks and cars and helping them, as they were out celebrating being awesome as they think they are. So so in the midst of all of that, they replayed last week and showed us how we've gotten to this new 6-woman tag that's going on, which I really, appreciated seeing, which was of course Jesse Jones, Holly Swag, and Big Rig Betty versus Team Cold Discipline in the form of Ice Cold, the disciplinarian, and now G.I. Jane, who is a heartbreaker at this point of all of our feelings. Because, yeah, I just wasn't expecting that from her at all. But I just never get tired of looking her because she's just such a statuesque woman. She's so beautiful, as all these women are. But this match was really crazy. It was all over the place to a certain degree. But really, we just saw some of the best out of all of these women. And of course, we got introduced to more of the action side from Big Rig Betty and Holly Swag. It was really good. Lots of hard hitting action between all of the women. And even Jesse Jones came out with a ruler, not a ruler, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Um, with a ruler that was bedazzled, and she actually wanted to attack Samantha Smart with it because she just got so sick of her and everything. So she tried to attack her, and then after she tried to attack her with it, after they won the match, she broke it and threw it at her and everything. So to make a long story short, Team Country Strong came out with the win here, and it was really good on the part of Team Cold Discipline, but at the same time, they really just couldn't fight through with these Country Strong women, and they wound up winning. So starting with Emily, how did you feel about this match and of course everything leading up to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was such a good, like, uh, this was so wild, like you said, it was so crazy. And what I love about what WoW's been doing is like pairing people up that are like unlikely groupings, right? Unlikely pairs that you're like, you're not sure how they're all gonna work together, you're not sure how it's all gonna work. And this one really worked. It was really exciting to watch. And there was so many little moments that happened that like I had to like run it back a couple times and just be like, what just happened? And it kind of kept such great momentum to move forward with all of this, like, and there's so much that's going to come out of this, which is really fun.
Absolutely. It was lots of high action drama going on in this match. And I definitely can get how you would want to like go backwards and see if you miss anything really great and stuff. Because these women were really killing it. I loved it. So Katrina, how did you feel about the match?
I thought it was good. I liked that we got a little bit more information as far as like I think it's a nice mother and daughter team. We don't always see that too often in wrestling. It's usually maybe the father and the sons, or to get the brothers, the cousins, and so it's nice to kind of see a mother daughter team. I was like, okay, I like that, and then to have where there's like a friendship there, so it's like there's a good trust between it. And I think that ultimately kind of worked in their favor. And again, this is not to discredit the effort that the other team gave, because they gave a good effort. But I felt like in this regard, that friendship kind of threw it over for them, because you knew each other more, you knew how to work with each other. And while, with, G.I. Jane, with reference to like, she just recently joined this group. And so she doesn't even have, at least some experience working with them on her side yet, because she kind of just, joined recently, while this is like years of friendship. And then you have family involved as well. And so I think in this regard, I thought it was fun, like in regards to like progressing the storyline. But I think ultimately it was just like the being close like that helped them win the matchup.
Yes, you can never do wrong when you're teaming with family because family know each other. Like, if you've built up that relationship, of course, within your family, you know each other's languages. And that definitely did help with Team Country Strong. And I'm really glad that they actually wound up getting the win and Jesse Jones got a more levels of revenge here because like the disciplinarian and Samantha Smart have basically been like a pain in her behind for like the past couple of weeks. So I'm really glad that she was able to get that level of revenge with people that she can be on one accord with. So yeah, that was really exciting to see. Ladies, can I ask you a question? Are we missing anything else that happened in this episode? No?
I don't think we are, but
Okay.
I always
I'm just
watch a little bit after. So
Yeah, we covered all the matches.
mhm. And there was only one story, so okay. I was just trying to make sure, just to see because sometimes your brain just blanks on things. So I just have to make sure. But yeah, that was a pretty solid episode of Wow Superheroes. Of course, it comes on every Saturday, or basically depending on where you are. It comes on, well, at least if you're in Alabama, it comes on every Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please check out your listings. Check out the listings of where it comes on their website, which is wowe.com. That's WOWE.com. And just continue to support the movement. Like they're having a lot of stuff cracking. They're trying to do more things. They're even having a tryout this week that they posted about on Instagram today. So if you want to send your information, if there are any, wrestlers who are watching us at this point or later on, you can send your resume and pictures to them, via email at typeowie.com and see if that's something that you would like to do or try out for. They're looking for new superheroes, guys. So if you're a women's wrestler, please go and try out. You never know. You could wind up on television and we'll wind up talking about you, or at some point we'll might wind up interviewing you. Either way, you can never, it never fails to try. At least you can say you tried as opposed to never doing it at all. So Wow Superheroes is really, getting it cracking, for the next year, for the next couple of months. So please try that. And always know that you can, follow us as we continue to talk about it and share content about it all the time. So yeah, that wraps it up for us here on the after show. So starting with Emily, thank you, of course, for joining me and also Katrina as well. Tell everybody where they can find and follow you, Emily.
Yeah, you can follow me on all social platforms at Emily Mae Heller. And thanks for joining us as we talked about WoW.
And you, Katrina?
I am on most social media platforms and Cat We Trust, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram is 3. And also check out, my channel on YouTube, also in Cat We Trust.
And know that you can follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. And of course, listen to my podcast, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, everywhere you get your shows, audio, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel where all my episodes are uploaded there as well. And just continue to support the movement of women's wrestling and also wrestling in all forms, independently and also mainstream wise as well. And also know you can follow us at Women's Wrestling Talk on Instagram and Twitter at WWTalkPod. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com where we have all the interviews, all of our articles and stuff, and all of our merchandise, everything that we've got going on that website, you'll find it there. And just continue to support us. Follow us on Facebook at Women's Wrestling Talk, and subscribe to us on YouTube, and subscribe to us on Twitch as well. And then once you ring the bell, you'll be notified of every time we go live, so you won't miss a thing that we do. You shouldn't miss a thing that we do, because we are them girls and we are getting it cracking, okay? So until next time, this has been Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. And until next time, reach for the skies. Bye, y'all.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.